Just 2 days ago, Zia Yusuf was exiting the Reform Party, and now he's back. Politics, like jazz or marriage, is often a matter of timing. One enters, one exits, one reconsiders, and so it is that Zia Yusuf, the erstwhile chairman of Reform UK, has pirouetted back into the spotlight a mere 48 hours after publicly flouncing out. His return is not merely a personal change, but a revealing symptom of the brittle, blustering and bewildering state of the party that he helped to build. Just 2 days ago, he posted with the solemnity of a martyr that working to get a reform government elected is no longer a good use of my time. He left with a weary tone of a man who had just discovered that populism doesn't come with a pension. Now, this exit came on the back of his publicity, of his publicly aired criticism of the new MP Sarah Pochin, who, in a tone-deaf debut at PMQs, demanded a burqa ban, something, despite this not being reform policy, Yusuf, a practicing Muslim, described her intervention as dumb. A bold move, rare in Reform's rigid ranks, and predictably he was buried under a cascade of abuse, not only from the anonymous far-right fringes of social media, but reportedly from within the party itself. Reform, remember, has always marketed itself as the custodian of free speech, but apparently only so long as that speech isn't principled dissent. Yet here we are. The prodigal technocrat has returned. Exhaustion, he says, not conviction, a momentary snap, not a strategic schism. In his own words, I don't mind saying I made an error. Nigel Farage, that grinning impresario of chaos, claims it was a combination of 11 months' hard work and abuse from the very hard extreme right that drove Yusuf away. But that bots may have played a part in it too, Indian bots no less. One is tempted to ask whether the alt-right and the alt-algorithm are now in coalition. Still, Yusuf is back. Not as party chairman, but as head of the rather absurdly named Doge Team, a British knockoff of Trump's doomed Department of Government Efficiency. Let's call it what it is. A think tank with a hammer, tasked with sacking council workers and dressing it up as innovation. Now, some may dismiss all this as internal Westminster soap opera, but this hokey-cokey, in-out, shake-it-all-about speaks to something deeper, doesn't it? Reform's identity crisis. Yusuf, for all his corporate swagger and sometimes clumsy bluntness, was the party's bridge to credibility. He brought money, method, modernity. His abrupt departure rattled donors and suggested Reform's sheen of discipline was already peeling. His return, a hasty patch job. Not that surprising, given Isabel Oakeshot's piece on Talk TV. Oh, he's just tired. Well, that's not what he said, and that's not what was reported. And what of Pochin, the catalyst of all this? She remains untouched, still basking in Farage's approval. Unity evidently is not required, loyalty to Nigel is. And we cannot ignore the racial undercurrent here. Yusuf's resignation was met with a deluge of Islamophobic abuse. That he was seen as Reform's token rebuttal to accusations of racism. Look! We've got a Muslim leading the party. Chairman is telling in itself. Now the same man has been publicly humiliated, brought back with a change in title and arguably in clout. Farage has finally admitted publicly that the alt-right and racists do not lurk in the party's shadows. Yet he blames bots, the refusal to squarely face the problem, to admit the old UKIP habits of racism and rabble-rousing die hard is not leadership, it's cowardice dressed in denial. You've got to remember, UKIP and Reform and the Brexit Party were run by people with backgrounds in the National Front, in these far-right organisations. So what? The Martin Heels of this world. So what now? Reform faces a credibility cliff, with Rupert Rob Arthur Lowe defenestrated, Nathaniel Fried gone, internal rifts widening, Ben Habib. Yusuf's return may stem the bleeding, but it doesn't address the infection. A party cannot professionalise while it indulges demagogues. It cannot modernise while using 19th century scapegoating rhetoric. This episode also exposes the inherent contradiction in Reform's DNA. It wishes to emulate Silicon Valley sleekness while trafficking in culture war populism. Yusuf represented the former, Putin the latter. Farage wants both. That contradiction is unstable and increasingly visible. In truth, Zia Yusuf's reappearance is less a triumph than a cautionary tale. Reform UK remains a party of personal fiefdoms, prone to melodrama and managerial missteps. Yusuf's hokey-cokey, in, out, spin it all about may reassure a few onlookers, but it is no substitute for political maturity. Reform wants to be a government in waiting, but with every public wobble it looks more like UKIP 2. Just with more spreadsheets.